Hi, and welcome back to Inspired Alchemy with Lizzie. This is episode 18. I don't even know what to call it. It really is just Inspired Alchemy and feeling into my intuition and looking in the mirror this week. Um, it's been a crazy ride as to seeing my patterns and everybody in my life showing up exactly how they were meant to show me where I'm still playing small. I allowed myself this week to stand in how I was feeling outwardly. I gave myself permission to be like, yo, this is where I'm at right now. This is what I'm feeling. And I allowed myself to actually feel the feedback. This is not anything new. I accept feedback. I listen to people's advice, all of those things. But this week it hit a little different. I was supposed to be on a connection call for group coaching on Tuesday, but I had to do mom things because my daughter hurt herself. So, I think I even said that in my last one. I don't remember. It feels like this past week has been a blur. And so I wasn't in the coaching call, but I watched it today and there were things in there. I know my body, and I've said this before. Feeling into my body and knowing what each feeling or sensation means in there is extremely important. So I was listening to this call and my brain kept telling me, we need to turn this off. You've heard what you need to hear, all this kind of stuff, right? It was trying to give me excuses because it knew, well, my body knew something was coming that I really needed to hear. So I sat through it. And while it was absolutely beautiful and I got so many things out of it and so many people talking about things that I had questions about, it was the last part that really hit me. And it involved a part of my life that is very raw right now. And I just cried. I started crying. I was not expecting it. It's just an emotion that just came up. So I allowed it and I cried. And then I sent a couple messages to my friend because she's like, "Oh, how are you doing?" And I mean, at the beginning, like before I even watched the call, I was like, "Oh, I'm fine." And then I realized how much I had been suppressing my emotions and I didn't realize it. I've allowed myself to just show up this week as I am. Come as you are, right? I had a friend tell me that this week too. And I am literally, and I see it in other people too. Everybody's burning down to rebuild. They're ripping their businesses apart, their identity crisis, there's emotional things going on. Their personal lives are hanging in the balance and they don't know which way is going to go. Everybody I talk to is pretty much having similar issues. And we're all burning down to rebuild and to rise how we are meant to be. It's like this whole collective thing that's going on. And if you allow yourself to pay attention, if you allow yourself to listen, you'll see that you're not alone in the things that you're going through. And if you allow yourself to be seen and heard, even by yourself, if you allow yourself to see yourself and to hear yourself, you'll feel what needs to come next. And I've been doing that on a very deep level this week. And it's been extremely powerful. I am letting go of everything that I thought I was. And I'm starting to finally understand and step into who I am meant to be. And it's very, very scary for me because I've said this before. I've always been treated like I was too much. And that made me feel like I wasn't enough. And I know that that sounds weird, but it's true. And so I was having a conversation with a friend, and I was talking about how everybody leaves. And he's like, well, yeah, that's the nature of life, right? I'm like, yeah, but why? That is part of my core wound as being an unwanted. And I'm like, eventually, it's like, I'm not that I'm afraid of being alone, because that's not the case. Like when it comes to friends and stuff, I've had people come in and out of my life all of the time. And I'm like, I'm afraid. And I said these things out loud. And I believe that it's important for me to share them, even though a lot of people wouldn't normally share it. I don't want anybody to feel alone in what they're feeling. And I give advice because I know I need that advice too. So things that normally wouldn't come out of my mouth did, because I know I need to hear whatever that person's going to say to me. So I was like, well, I'm getting too old. I'm going to be 41 this year. That is not old. And if anybody told me that, and they have, I'd be like, are you kidding me right now? Like, you're super young. What are you talking about? We can start over at any age. So my friend looks at me, and then I'm like, I don't, as I'm stepping more into myself, I am attracting more people that accept me for who I am in that moment. And honestly, that's really scary. I think that is scarier for me than not being accepted and not feeling like I belong. And that's actually just something that popped into my head. I'm more scared of people accepting me for who I am, because I've never been accepted. Not really. Not for who I am at my core. And that just is the fear of that, being seen and being heard, and then having that permission to move through the world as you are can be scary. It's freedom and it feels good, but at the same time, it feels scary. So I was like, I'm afraid that I'm not going to find people who are going to love me for who I am. And my friend looks at me and he's like, well, how is that working out for you right now? And I'm like, well, I am finding more aligned people. And there was just silence of like, yeah, you see, you're being stupid. Like, these are all limiting beliefs. They're glass ceilings. They are cycles of me self-sabotaging to keep myself safe in the certainty of stagnancy, if that's a word, and familiar chaos. And I honestly don't want that anymore. And so after I had a couple of conversations this week, I started really going, how do I want to move through the world? I started to understand this next version of me and what she's been trying to tell me. Am I super clear on it? No. But am I starting to understand? Yes. So I am, for example, I mean, no offense to anybody, but when I say this, but I don't do religion. I don't do organized religion. I grew up Roman Catholic, and even at a young age, it just wasn't for me. And I expressed that often. I liked going to church only because, especially at Christmas, you put the little things on the tree, whatever, but it wasn't for me. And I always knew that there was something more. And my people pleasing, let's say when people would come to the door to talk about the Bible or whatever, I would take their little things and I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. Yeah, sure. Um, just to make them feel good. But I wasn't aligned with myself and I was not in integrity. I was just people pleasing. And so today, I believe my neighbor knocked on my door, but I didn't answer the door because I was like having a moment and I'm like, I'm not going to answer the door like this. And so then 10 minutes later, I heard knock again. I'm like, okay, maybe this is important. Maybe I need to answer. So I pull myself together, and it's these two women standing at the door. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this. The universe is like, I'm gonna throw everything in your path so I can see exactly where you stand. And when I tell you I'm actively processing, like why I'm talking to this woman, I was. So they're like telling me, oh, do you have time to talk about the Bible and this and that? And I'm like, I'm listening to them, and I did let them do their spiel. And I was like, no, thank you, not right now. And they look at me and they're like, oh, I said, I have my own spirituality. And they look at me and they step back. And then they did their little spiel again about this. Here, take this business card because, and it's like a super interactive site, and you can get on there and you can read the scriptures and you can do this. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, do I take that card? No, that is not in alignment. That's not what Liz is going to do right now. And so I smile at them, and she goes to hand me the card, and I said, no, thank you. I said, but I hope you have an amazing day. And they just looked at me like I had three heads. Because most people will take it and just throw it out. But I didn't want to do that. I always feel weird doing that. As weird as it sounds, and even though I don't believe in religion as other people do, and I have my own way of dealing with my spirituality and all of those things, for me to take it just to throw it out didn't feel right. Because I'm not, even though I don't agree, I don't want to take something from somebody with them in the hopes that, this organization is spending money on these things, and these people are spending their time going around talking about things. And I feel like if I were to just take it to be nice and then toss it out, that doesn't feel right to me. And I'm not sure if anybody else understands this. It just didn't feel right. I'd rather them keep the card and then give it to somebody else who possibly may want it or need it. And for me, for the first time, I was like, wow, that was definitely in alignment, and that was definitely in my integrity, because I was kind about it, but I was also very strong in my no, thank you. And my daughter did the same thing. And I'm very proud of her for how she stands up for herself, because she had a similar situation and somebody wanted to include her in something that she didn't believe in, or she didn't know how she felt about it. And she steps back and she goes, hey, no, thank you. That doesn't feel good to me. And so I'm going to take a step back. And she just let them do their own thing, not judging them for anything. And I did the same. And so we're constantly having to find that balance between, or while we're actively going. So I just had to pause because in life, as things happen, I call it an algorithm interrupt. My cat was just choking on something. I'm not sure what it was, but yeah. So as we're moving through these things, we have to constantly decide what's in alignment with us and if it feels good to our souls. What feels right? Are we running a self-sabotaging pattern? Are we in alignment? Do we feel like we're suppressing ourselves at the detriment to ourselves and the benefit to others? Where are we allowing ourselves to stay small, pretty much? And this week has been so much of that for me. I love one of my daughter's coaches. She's absolutely wonderful. She's young and smart and amazing. And she pulled on me last night. She's like, so I'm going to do what you do to other people. And I don't know if she was nervous doing this to me or not, because we've talked about her coaching with me before. But she's like, I had told her, because she's like, oh, you need to take a class with me, like at the gym. And I was like, she's like, there's one happening at, on Wednesday or whatever. And heard myself in my brain giving me every reason not to do it. And it's like, oh, I don't fit in. Oh, I'm not an athlete. I'm not this. I'm not that. And she's like, I'm going to do what you do to everybody else. She goes, you're not too old. She goes, and you know that it doesn't make any sense. And she goes, you have to start somewhere. And while I did believe I was starting somewhere by just allowing myself to go play and stuff like that, I've hit past that. I am still in my comfort zone. And I wrote a post about this and I talked about this before. My comfort zone has gotten too big. And I'm really good at getting uncomfortable. But this part is going to be the most uncomfortable that I could be. Because, yeah, I'm allowing myself to be seen and heard and things like that in different spaces where I wouldn't have normally in the past. But this is one of the biggest so far. And she goes, come take a class. And I was like, And she goes, you have no excuse. And I really don't. I don't. And it's very interesting what goes through my head. And it's the same thing, obviously, that I try to help other people with. So at every turn this week, I've had somebody pressing up against me to show me where I need to move and shake things up a little bit. And I know them, but these people every single day have been constantly pushing me. It's like, okay, and it's like I'm giving people this, and it can happen in different levels, right? So this is the biggest level for me. I know where I've kept myself small in the past. I know my patterns, but at the same time, this is the hardest one for me to move into. And I'm starting to understand why, but I can't put it into words yet. But I know everybody is right. And so I'm taking small steps towards what's next. And even today, even though it has nothing to do with the flexibility class I want to take or circus class that I want to take, and me saying, oh, I'm too big, or because if you on that, it's not relevant to this really, but if you've seen my social media, you know that I had struggled with chronic illness my entire life. I was super skinny for a really long time, and then I started to heal, so my body started to gain weight, all those kind of things, body dysmorphia. And so I've allowed that to keep me safe, if that makes any sense. It's like, oh no, I can't be in that space because I don't look like everybody else. I'm not an athlete, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I need to you have to start somewhere. And while I absolutely agree with that, sometimes it's hard for your brain to feel safe doing that and your body to feel safe doing that. Although this is the closest I've ever been to actually saying, screw it. Like, I'm just going to do it. So, this episode is pretty much about getting outside that comfort zone and seeing where you're keeping yourself small and knowing how to expand into your growth zone from your comfort zone without going to the anxiety zone. I am going into my growth zone by going to a class or even just by saying, "Hey, yeah, no, I don't want one of your cards. Thank you very much." Anxiety zone would be like, "Hey, you've been practicing for 2 weeks, go do a show. We don't care that you're at whatever level, but you're going to do a show." And I'd be like, no, because that would be into my anxiety zone, right? So I guess this episode is just that, processing the gratitude and holding gratitude for everybody who's in my life right now, who's showing up for me the more I show up for myself, pushing me beyond my comfort zone, showing me that I'm accepted just as I am. And so I want to put that into the world as well. You are accepted just as you are right now. You're not broken. You don't need to constantly be fixing, and sometimes you just need to be. And if you don't have a support system that feels like that for you, it's time to start branching out and finding those people because they are life changing and they are out there. I promise. I didn't think that they were, but I'm lucky enough to be finding some very beautiful, amazing human beings. Constantly creating alchemy, perpetual alchemy, which is actually something I'm offering now, is there are 3 spots open for. I know that this work can be very scary. It can feel very daunting, and you might not want to meet with somebody face to face once a week, once every 2 weeks, or even once a month. So there's a new offering for a program called Perpetual Alchemy, which is also a line on the website of products. We have mugs and water bottles and shirts and all of those kind of things, and notebooks. The notebooks are really cool because there's like a little pocket and stuff in there. Everybody loves pockets. Anyways, so there are 3 spots open for coaching, and you can find all of that information on my social media at Inspired Alchemy LLC on Instagram, or you can go on Facebook and look for Inspired Alchemy LLC as well. And just know that I know this work is scary. I know it's uncomfortable, but there is so much freedom in it. And even in the times where it feels like you're going to collapse, there's such beauty on the other side. Don't let anybody make you feel like you're broken, because you're not. You're just unbecoming everything that you were and becoming everything that you are meant to be. Step fully into your magic, and magical things happen. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you next time.